The U.S. Army must be able to fight and win our nation's wars in the right way. We will prevail in large-scale combat operations by exercising mission command, which requires mutual trust and depends on character. Strategic leaders have a tremendous impact on trust and character development through their decisions and actions. Here's an example. Let's say the United States is involved in large-scale combat operations against a near-peer adversary. The enemy is using armed autonomous drones against U.S. forces and coalition partners. These drones are indiscriminately causing civilian casualties and collateral damage, in addition to losses to U.S. and coalition forces. The United States has a similar capability with its drones, but to this point has chosen not to employ the drones autonomously. The Army is considering a range of policy options to prevail in these operations. Two strategic advisors on the Army staff, Colonel West and Mr. Allen, present options on what to do about the drones.
In order to win, we must employ autonomous drones like our enemy, requiring soldiers on the ground to provide positive identification of drone targets puts our soldiers at risk. Preventing U.S. and coalition casualties should be our top concern.
All lives are important. We must continue to use soldier-operated drones and require positive identification so that we limit civilian casualties and collateral damage. Our profession relies on trust that we will apply force in an ethical manner. We need to develop defensive systems to counter the enemy's autonomous drones.
Large-scale combat operations are also taxing the Army's ability to replace casualties. The advisors present options on manning and training.
We should increase the percentage of recruits who are non-high school graduates and allow liberal waivers for recruits with previous misconduct. We have to do this to replace our losses and fill Army units engaged in large-scale combat operations.
We don't need to reduce recruiting standards. It could lower the quality of our Army. We could increase the duration of unit deployments, reduce individual dwell time, implement a stop-loss policy, and adopt an in-theater individual replacement system to replace casualties.
This isn't just about manning Army units. We also need to reduce the amount of training time. We should suspend all mandatory training requirements that are not directly associated with combat operations. Units in the combat zone need to focus solely on their warfighting functions.
Not all Army organizations are deployed in combat operations. We should keep mandatory training requirements from AR 350-1 intact. We should maintain the exception authority to waive mandatory training requirements at the 2-star commander level. This empowers leaders at the right level to make the decision based on the mission at hand. We have to trust their judgment.
You've heard the advice of Colonel West and Mr. Allen. Which recommendations do you think were right, meaning ethical, effective, and efficient? Which recommendations reinforced an Army culture of trust? Which recommendations could potentially undermine the culture of trust? How do these strategic level decisions impact character development within the Army? Regardless of these policy decisions, why is transparency important in the decision process? And finally, if you were the decision maker, what would you do and why? The Army strategic leaders are responsible for strengthening the Army culture of trust and the Army as a profession. Strategic leaders establish the policies, programs, and systems that shape Army culture, support professional organizational climates, and motivate individuals to live by and uphold our shared identity. By doing what is right and being transparent, they set the standard, inspire honorable service, promote stewardship, and strengthen esprit de corps.